Well, good morning on a beautiful, bright Monday morning. As I've often said, Monday morning is often the best day of the week. You've had the weekend, you should be rested, you should be invigorated, and you should be excited before you're going to. Really, that's what winners do. So, Monday is a great day. But so often, this is what I find from my coaching experience with people. What simply happens is we get overwhelmed. You see, we rely on the human mind, and our human mind is one of the best computers that has ever been invented. But there's an issue with the human mind, and that is that all the things get jumbled up inside our head, and it simply overwhelms us. It's not like having where you can have this button that you click to bring up a file. It just doesn't happen. So, what we've got to do is have a process, have a system to where we can see what's in our minds. So, some years ago, whenever we were going and attending some of the classes that Cheryl and I have attended over the years, we learned about a process called mind mapping. And what mind mapping is where you put all the things down that are jumbled up in your head. Now, it may take you a while to do this because, again, you got to look deep, deep into your hard drive, which is your brain. So, what you do is, I use a flip chart. I'm a flip chart kind of guy. You can do this on a piece of paper. There's digital means to do this or whatever. So, what we do is we start out with our paper or our digital or whatever the process is, and we write right here in the center. You can see that I wrote the word problems. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to then list all the problems, all the roadblocks, all the chaos around this. I'm just going to keep drawing circles around this. Now, as I'm drawing these circles, what I'm doing is I'm putting inside of it what is my problem. So here I'm going to put number one, number two, number three. These are all the problems, all the walls, all the things that are blocking our progress. And that's going to be something that you have to decide within yourself of how you're going to do this. Now, once you get this mind map established, and again, I'm going to suggest you may want to do this over a period of a couple of days because new things are going to come to you in the middle of the night, riding down the road, from a phone call or whatever. And this list can get quite large. We can keep adding the circles. We can make them smaller. We can make them bigger. Whatever we want to do. But then there's going to come a time, it's going to be time to sit back now and look at this picture of what's in our minds, just like you were reviewing all the files that are in your computer that you use. Just think about it. Have you ever wondered how much information is stored in the human mind? What's sitting right between your ears all the time? Well, it's a monumental amount of information. And so often it overwhelms us. It overwhelms us to a very high end. And by doing the mind mapping method, you can actually see and draw a picture of what's in your minds. And once you get this picture drawn, you can then pick out the one thing. What is the one thing that you could make a change in that would make the most difference in what you're doing? Now, I'm not the greatest artist in the world, and I've seen some people draw some really beautiful mind maps. So I want to share something with you right now so you can kind of see some of the mind mapping that people actually do. Let's get the share button up here. And there we come. And what you're looking at right now is a shot from Google Images. You simply research the word in Google Images or whatever image that you're going to use and look at mind mapping examples. And as you look at these mind mapping examples, you can see it's just like a roadblock. So, what do is you go through this, you then come up with here's our problem. And we're going to say that we're going to deal with problem number one. So as we deal with problem number one, we're going to actually change our colors. And around problem number one, we're going to draw a series of circles. And inside of this series of circles, you can see I've connected it to it. So inside of this, what am I going to do? I'm going to write down what are the solutions to this frustration. How do we get on top of these problems? Now, I've taught this method. Cheryl and I have done podcasts using this method. We've taught it in class and everything else. So what this does is this gives us, just like Tom said, the clarity that we need and gives us the ability to focus in. See, that's what a leader has to have. You got to be able to focus in and have clarity to derive with the solutions. It also comes back that there's two different types of personalities in business. And this is explained very well in the book Traction and is part of the EOS Operate, which is an entrepreneurial operating system, which is some of us are visionaries. Some of us, as they call it, are integrators, or what I call the implementers. And here's the problem. If you're a visionary, it's very, very difficult to come up with the process and implement it. It's just not the nature of the visionary to be able to do this. So often, this is why a visionary in business has got to have an integrator and implementer to help them get there. Now, there's another key thought here, and this is an excuse that I so often hear from people, and that is, I just don't have the time. Well, see, this is a true fact. We are each given 24 hours in a day. And in that 24 hours, there's got to be time for some rest, some sleep. So that eliminates probably between a quarter to one third of the average person's day. Now, let's say that we did have that period that we've got to rest and relax. Actually, our minds are still going through that period. Have you ever noticed how you wake up and you may just have something in your mind that came to you during the night? This is why a lot of visionaries keep something beside their bed. And I've seen some people come up with great ideas using these systems that I've explained to you here, to where it's called whiteboarding. And that's another process here that we call this mind mapping is one, whiteboarding is another. But what this can do is help you get that clarity. But here's the big issue. A lot of times when you say, I just don't have the time, what that really means is it just isn't your priority. And since it's not a priority, you never get it done. Think about it. So, what you want to do is consider the use of the mind mapping process, the whiteboarding process, list out what's going on, and make this a project this week. Determine over the next couple days what is the one thing that will get you where you're going. Now, one of the things is this is a book. It's written by a guy named by the name of Gary Keller, and the title of the book is The One Thing. And this is part of the process that Gary shares in this. You've got to decide what is the one thing that will make the most difference in what you're doing and help move you closer to where you're going. You see, once you decide that, once you make it a priority, and once you pour your efforts and focus into this, you can accomplish that one thing. Once you accomplish that one thing, what's next? You accomplish number two. And number two becomes the one thing that will make the most difference in your life and in your business. But see, that's up to you. No one else can determine that for you. Coaches can help guide you in this path, but what you have to do is decide it is your priority and you're going to devote the time to make it really happen. Just think about it. Hopefully, this is something that can help you, but I can tell you that this mind mapping method is something that can help you get it drilled down to. But then what you got to do is once you decide this is your priority, you got to put the effort into it and make things happen. And with that, I want to thank you for joining me for a few minutes today, having a cup of coffee with me maybe, and how you can put these processes to work in your business, in your life, start accomplishing things and stop being so overwhelmed by life and business that just keeps coming at us. Appreciate you joining me. Talk to you next time. My name's Jerry Eisenhower, and if we can help you here at CB Success Group, just reach out to us at any time. Thank you a lot for your attention.